So in the previous class we had already discussed about the formation of electrovalent compounds or ionic compounds. So in this class we are going to discuss about the general properties for the ionic compounds like physical nature, melting and boiling points, solubility, conduction of electricity. So these general properties we will discuss today for the ionic compounds. So if we will see the physical nature, the ionic compounds are solids and somewhat they are hard because of the strong force of attraction between the positive and negative ions. So opposite ions they attract each other and they have strong force of attraction between the positive and negative ions. So they are hard and they are solid. So these compounds are generally brittle and broken into pieces when pressure is applied. When we apply pressure, it can be broken into pieces. So they are known as generally brittle. So if we will consider about the physical nature, ionic compounds are solid. They are hard because of the strong force of attraction between the positive and negative ions, and these compounds are also brittle and can be broken into pieces when pressure is applied. Then melting and boiling points, ionic compounds have high melting and boiling points because a considerable amount of energy is required to break the strong interionic attraction. That means the attraction between positive and negative ions. To break this attraction, a considerable amount of energy is required. That is why the ionic compounds they have high melting and boiling points. Similarly, for solubility, these compounds they are generally soluble in water but insoluble in solvents such as kerosene, petrol. For these substance, these are insoluble but these are soluble in water. So next is conduction of electricity, and the conduction of electricity through a solution that involves the movement of charged particles. So ionic compounds in the solid state they do not conduct electricity because movement of ions in the solid state is not possible. In the solid state they have rigid structure and movement of ion is not possible. So ionic compounds conduct electricity in the molten state because in the molten state electrostatic force of attraction between the oppositely charged ions they overcome due to the heat. So ions can move freely and conduct electricity, but in the solid state ions are not able to move due to the rigid structure. That is why these ionic compounds in the solid state they do not conduct electricity, but the ionic compounds conduct electricity in the molten state. Solution of an ionic compound in water contains ions which move to the opposite electrodes when electricity is passed through the solution. So generally we can say that for conduction of electricity, ionic compounds do not conduct electricity in the solid state but they conduct electricity in the molten state. So ionic compounds they are solid, they are hard due to the strong force of attraction between positive and negative ion, and they are brittle, can be broken into pieces when pressure is applied. So they have high melting. Ionic compounds they have high melting and boiling points because a considerable amount of energy is required to break the bond or to break the strong interionic force of attraction. Then ionic compounds they are generally soluble in water but insoluble in other solvents like kerosene, petrol, etc. Then for conduction of electricity, since conduction of electricity means it involves the movement of ions which is not possible in the solid state. In the solid state due to the rigid structure movement of ion is not possible. So ionic compounds do not conduct electricity in the solid state but they conduct electricity in the molten state because here movement of ions is possible. Ions can move freely and conduct electricity, but in the solid state ions are not able to move. So this is about the general properties of ionic compounds. Now we will see occurrence and extraction of metals. So it is not there in your course, just I am telling you the basic steps how we are extracting the metals from the ore. I am just giving you the summary of the basic steps of getting the metals. So the earth crust is the major source of metals. Sea water also contains some soluble salts. So the elements of the compounds which occur naturally in the earth crust they are known as minerals. When they occur naturally in the earth crust, they are known as minerals, and some places minerals also contain a very high percentage of particular metal, and then the metal is extracted from that. So these minerals, these are called ores. These minerals are called ores, and we extract metals from the ores. So we had learned about the reactivity series of the metals. So different metals, they react differently, they have different reactivity. So according to the reactivity series of the metals, if we will see, then metal is extracted from its ore, and some metals are found in the earth crust in the free state, some are found in the form of their compounds. So the metals at the bottom of their activity series are the least reactive, because the metals are arranged in the decreasing order of the reactivity. So some are found in the free state, some are found in the form of their compound. So we can see that some of the metals, they are found in a free state, like gold, silver, platinum, copper. These are found in free state. Then copper and silver are also found in the combined form of their sulfide or oxide ores. So the metals in the reactivity series, like sodium, potassium, calcium, they are so reactive that they never found in the nature as free elements. So that is why if we will some metals in the reactivity series, these are moderately reactive. They found in the earth crust mainly as oxides, sulfides or carbonates. So if we will see the reactivity series, so we are categorizing the metals into three groups. Based on their reactivity, we can categorize the elements or the metals according to their reactivity into three groups, that is metals of low reactivity, metals of medium reactivity and metals of high reactivity. Like here you can say the metals are arranged according to their reactivity. So some are highly reactive, some are moderately reactive and some are very low reactive. Some are found in free state, some are found in the form of their sulfides or oxide ores, some are found in the compound form, means combined form like carbonates, oxides and all. So we have to extract the metals from them, and some are found in freely, in the free state they are found like gold, silver and platinum. So according to the reactivity of the metals, we can categorize the metals into three groups, that is metals of low reactivity, metals of medium reactivity and metals of high reactivity. Then different techniques are used to get the metals from each categories. So I will give you just a summary of the steps. It is the details process is not there in your course, so I will give you only the summary of the steps, so that it will be easy for you in the higher class to understand what is what step and how we are getting the metals. Like first of all, we are getting ore. Ore means minerals which are found freely in the occurring naturally in the earth crust. So these minerals are called ore. So first of all, we are getting ore, and then from the ore we are categorizing the metals into three groups, that is metals of high reactivity, metals of medium reactivity and metals of low reactivity. Then the metals which are of high reactivity, they undergo the process of electrolysis. They undergo the process of electrolysis to get the pure metal. So by electrolysis process, from metals of high reactivity, by electrolysis process we can get the pure metal. Similarly, when metals of medium reactivity we will take, then these we are getting metals of medium reactivity, we are getting in the carbonate form or in the sulfide form. If we are getting in the carbonate form, then these carbonate ores are changed into oxides by heating strongly, that is called calcination. So when carbonate ore is changed into oxides by heating strongly, that process is called calcination. And when we are getting sulfide ores, these ores are also converted into oxides by heating strongly in presence of excess air, that is called roasting. Here limited air is used and here excess air is used. Here limited air is used to get the oxide, or here excess air is used to get the oxide. So this process is called calcination. From carbonate ore we are doing the calcination process to get the oxide. From sulfide ore we are doing roasting process to get the oxide. So from both the process we are getting the oxide of the metal, and then these oxides, metal oxides, are undergoing reduction process to get the pure metal. So now this is clear how we are getting from how we are getting pure metal from metals of medium reactivity. Next is our metals of low reactivity. So metals of low reactivity, these are found mostly in their sulfide form. So sulfide forms means here already I had told you, sulfide forms are converted to oxides by applying or by giving excess air. That process is called roasting. So in that process we are getting the metal, and then refining is done to get the pure metal. So this is just the steps involved in the extraction of metals. Different methods are used like calcination, roasting, so electrolysis. So metals of high reactivity, medium reactivity and low reactivity, they undergo different process to get the pure metal. So these are the basic steps and the summary of the steps, and in the detailed explanation you will study in the higher class. So this is just now for your knowledge that these are the basic steps involved in the extraction of pure metal from the ore. So next class we will start a new chapter. Till then you read the lesson and learn the important question answer.